everybody. Glad you're with us here. Wednesday, midweek, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Hope everything's good with you. A lot of rain here in central Alabama, so be aware of that. But I don't believe, looking at the hat on Barry's head today, usually that means he is away from his studio in Troy, traveling with the Trojan basketball team. Where have you landed on a Wednesday?
Wednesday and tomorrow here in Lafayette, Louisiana. This is our second 5-night road trip in the last 2 weeks. We got back last week. I had just enough time to really get home, kiss my wife, get laundry done, and pack up again. Troy plays Louisiana, the Ragin' Cajuns, tonight at 7:30, and then we're back here in the morning, and then we're taking off for Jonesboro, Arkansas. Beautiful. So, yeah, I mean, it rained.
For our old viewers and listeners, is that Southwest Louisiana?
That's it. That's it. The old Southwest Louisiana. Nelson Stokely. This is the school that commanded a home game for Bill Curry. Was it Bill Curry? Bill Curry says, okay, yes, we'll play at your place. I think, I
don't know if commanded was the right word. I think it was
you're going to play here. You're going to play here, or otherwise we're not.
The story goes that
this
Coach
ain't no
Bryant
Mercer,
and Nelson Stokely were buddies, and it was like a 9-for-1 deal, something like that.
Nelson Stokely was the AD at Southwestern Louisiana at the time.
I don't think his family had any connections with Stokely's Van Camps that make the pork and beans, but I don't know.
Nope. But his son, Nelson Stokely's son, Brandon Stokely, was a favorite target of Peyton Manning as a wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. It was a very good one. Long year.
So actually, I believe it was Gene Stallings that took the Tide to Lafayette to seal that deal, that 9-for-1 deal where Alabama had to go play down. And I'm still unsure about that. I think it was a large amount of they had to come up here. Bear said, we'll come play you down there once.
It was like 9-1 or something like that, some ungodly number.
I think Bear knew he probably wouldn't be around by the time that game was played, so he didn't really care. But I believe it was Gene Stallings that took him down there.
Yeah, Bear said, whatever. Stop calling me. That's tonight at 7:30. On the way down, rained just about every day down between, really Greenville, where we picked up I-65 and headed south. We got the chance to watch a lot of basketball.
Whoa, yeah.
And the trap games that we had cautioned you about, with good reason, I might add. Trap games that we had cautioned you about on the road in the SEC for Auburn and Alabama. John, they handled it. They picked their way through the minefield, and both Auburn and Alabama won, and they both won by double digits.
Yeah, I was wrong. I got to tell you, I thought it would be tougher. I thought it would be a little tougher go with what was ahead. Obviously, Auburn wanting to get over what happened on Saturday.
Right.
We've talked about Alabama, and I haven't looked at the stat sheet. I'm curious about how many turnovers Alabama committed. I know early I heard Jimmy Dykes talk about turnovers early in the game. I don't know if they settled in and maybe stopped the bleeding on the turnovers. Didn't look like it mattered with a 23-point win. But, impressive. You go on the road. You got a big one coming up Saturday, College game day. You take care of business. Pack your bags and head back.
Let's see. Alabama committed 16 turnovers. That's too many. If you can get 10 or 11, if you can limit it to that, that's where you want to be. And they only forced 8 turnovers from Texas. So a 2-1 negative differential in turnovers. Yeah, big deal. Yeah. Who cares? Spare me. They win the game. That's just the way that they play. That's
true.
That's all there is.
And I will say this, Barry. The games were great. I enjoyed watching both of them. I got to tell you, it was an extra treat. I got Fish doing the Auburn game, Jimmy Dykes doing the Bama game. Those two guys are really good. I really love
those
two guys.
Yeah. I've actually worked with Jimmy Dykes before. I've never worked with Fishback. Worked with Jimmy Dykes before doing an Arkansas game on television. I like him.
Yeah.
In that game, Alabama they scored 103, and they had 5 guys in double figures. Jaron Stevenson. We don't talk about him much, but he had 22 points in 19 minutes. That's the thing about Alabama. I mean, one day it may be, what's his name? Youngblood.
Yep.
One day it may be a Holloway. One day it may be Filan. Many days it's Mark Sears, who had 18. Many days it's Grant Nelson, who was pretty quiet last night. But, John, it can come from anywhere with those guys.
Yeah, right. And most people are thinking of Nelson. They're thinking of Sears. Some of these guys that they're familiar with. But you're right. It might be some guy one night and you go, who? How many?
Yeah. Jaron Stevenson. Big night. I was impressed with him. He shot the ball well. And
you mentioned Holloway. I didn't realize this. 50% from the 3-point line. I mean, they're saying Oaks says every time he gets behind the stripe, he wants him to shoot it.
Yeah. I heard him say that. He said, when he gets the ball behind the stripe, shoot the basketball. I'm telling you, I wasn't with John whenever the game was being played. I imagine there was a tear forming in John's eye about that. That is the coach John was dreaming to play for, even though back when John played, there wasn't a 3-point line. But I'm teasing.
You just don't hear that very much. Hey, son, when you get the ball, shoot it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. One of the few times John takes his coach's instructions to heart. Absolutely, sir. I wouldn't think otherwise.
Yeah. Good night of basketball.
Well, you need to remind ourselves, not that we need a lot of reminding. The challenge is great. Jay Billis the other night said the SEC is the strongest conference ever that there ever has been.
Wow.
And I agree. I mean, I've said that before, but you got to remember these are 2 really, really good teams. I mean, we knew they're good, but they're really, really good. I mean, really good. For instance, Auburn, same kind of a deal there. Cheney Johnson, really, 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 really good player. A guy who, may not be at the forefront of everything that Auburn does, although he's pretty important. Cheney Johnson had 20 against Vanderbilt. Denver Jones had 21. Janai Broome had 17. He was good. Vanderbilt is a good team. Here's the deal. And Auburn wins that 80-68. Couple of things about that game, and fitted the color there. I can't ever get used to watching a game at Vanderbilt. I can't.
I can't either.
I'm even when I'm watching it, and I've been watching it for 15 or 20 minutes, I still can't get used to it. This is weird. It's like watching a game from a drone or from the Goodyear blimp or something.
I'm with you.
I don't like it.
They got the cheerleaders right. They're the only ones on the floor. Then they got a couple of signs, Kaneka sausage on one end, and forgot what the other one was. Just a little, they don't even look like they should be there.
Right.
But Barry, I tell you, for 40, 50 years, that's all I've ever known. And it looks like Vanderbilt's happy with it. They were talking about last night all the money that they put into their athletic department. Obviously, their football facility is undergoing a big transition. It's right there next to the basketball facility and right next to the baseball facility.
And when John says right there, he's talking about, right there. I got the feeling that if you had one of the side seats, one of the far side seats at Vanderbilt Stadium, a third of the way up, feels like you could just reach out over the side and touch the basketball
no doubt.
arena.
I remember going to a football game and I'm walking around. I'm going, wait a minute, there's home plate. But it's interesting. I was actually watching the first part of the game with some guys, and one of them played baseball in Auburn years ago, back our age kind of guy. So it's been 40 years ago. And he asked me, he goes, is Vanderbilt's baseball stadium still right next to the football stadium? I said, yep, sure is. He goes, yep, I played there several times. But I don't know how much of that money's going to basketball, but none of it's going to reconfigure the floor. I think that's staying.
Yeah, they like that. It is unique. I know the University of Minnesota, their floor is raised, which I don't understand why. But they're not. But their benches are not on the end lines, and not on the baselines. It's really weird. So, with all of that being said, I want Robbie to wake up early today.
Yeah,
Now
Robbie, want to
he's
hear
ready.
from you.
He has been, as they say, chomping at the bit. Now we can talk without any reservations, without having to have any patience about the number 1 versus the number 2 team in the country on Saturday in the SEC in Tuscaloosa. A writer, a nationally renowned and respected writer, writes this after last night's win. This game should be here we go. Not this game will be a much more important game for Alabama because it's in Tuscaloosa. It's also big for Alabama because so many with Alabama connections view beating Auburn as a birthright. Beating Auburn with number 1 on the line would be all the sweeter.
Who is this clown that wrote that? This guy obviously has never spent much time down here.
Well, this may give it away. He writes, "Can Auburn win? Sure, it can."
Okay, there we go.
But the advantage is Alabama's because it will be at home. That will flip when Alabama visits Neville Arena.
Well,
just to give you some perspective from Philip Marshall of Auburn Undercover. It looks like he's kind of patting things a little bit and saying, all right, Auburn fans, probably not going to win up there, but remember, they got to come down here.
Yeah, typical vintage PM, so he can come back and say on Sunday, told you so. Wow, look at that. Can you believe it? Yeah, come on. That's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah, believe me. If anybody understands it being the oldest trick in the book, it's my co-host.
Yeah. So here's the more pertinent questions I want to ask. After watching both games last night, both teams played, no hangover. They look good. Both of them. Big wins on the road.
Question.
Who's the favorite? Who will be the favorite Saturday afternoon at Coleman? We'll know Friday. Friday was when the lines will come out. What do you think? I'm sure there's some early lines out there. You can find some, but the set in stone line will be on Friday. But we'll see some come out before then. If you've seen them, let us know. We'd like to know what some of the lines that are floating out there are. Number 2, I've said it before. This is huge for Alabama. The fact that if you don't win here, you're not winning in Neville 2 weeks from now, whenever it is, 3 weeks when they play. I just don't see that
final
happen.
Game of the regular year. Yeah.
So you got to win Saturday because I don't see it happening at Neville Arena. Now, maybe in Nashville you can beat them in the tournament, maybe in the NCAAs. It ain't happening at Auburn. So those are the 2 things that I'm looking at, I'm interested in with this team. Which one obviously has the better week of practice, schemes, that type of stuff. How much will the fans be a part of it? I think that'll be interesting to see.
Well, if like John said, the number of tickets on the secondary market, there are people who bought their tickets with their season ticket package, and they are hanging on to those. Wouldn't dream of missing the Auburn-Alabama game at Coleman Coliseum. There are fans out there who are students who get in for free. What I want to know amongst them, there is a law school live webcam in Tuscaloosa. I want to look across on that webcam every day, and I'm going to do it. Might there be a pup tent out there?
Why is there first of all, why is there a camera at the law school?
I mean, they got webcams everywhere, John.
Okay.
They got webcams all over the place. You want to see, who's wearing ascots.
I want to know if are there any
will there be erected? Camping out?
Yeah. Any tents erected around the Coleman Coliseum vicinity? I've not heard of any. I'm going to get my son, who's a student up there right now, to kind of cruise around. And if he does, throw some water balloons at him and tell him they don't do that here. But I haven't heard of any. Number two, let me paint this scenario for you. Game's tight, clock's ticking down. Auburn's got a 1-point lead. Former Auburn player transfers to Alabama. Aiden Holloway hits a 3 at the buzzer. Alabama wins. Do they storm the court? The number one team gets knocked off by a 3 at the buzzer by a former Auburn player. Do the students storm the court?
I'm
certainly not suggesting it. I'm very much against court storming, but I'm wondering. All right, how about this, Barry? A shout out to Casino Greg on the River Region Straw chat line. Greg, good to hear from you.
Party City Casino, Greg?
I'm glad that you are. No, I think this is a different Greg. I think this guy's in Biloxi a lot.
That gotcha.
Yeah, Casino Greg. Yeah, Taco Party Guacamole Greg. We hadn't heard from him yet. So Greg,
okay. All right.
Glad that you found us.
Real good. Yes.
Dennis, we're going to answer your question when you come back. Dennis Mitchell has already fired in this morning. Hey, at the bottom of the hour, CJ Duncan, Yellow Hammer News. He'll join us as he does each and every Wednesday. Man, we got a lot going on here today on the program. The Victorland Topic Wheel, the Phantoms Daily Pick. Saints have hired a head football coach. And we got some basketball to talk about.
Yes, it's all coming up, as they say. In association with Yellow Hammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to Banking Above and Beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust. All right, here we are back at it, about 18 minutes past the hour. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Barry, 7:06 this morning. Dennis Mitchell is in the house with a question that I find very interesting. I kind of hinted at this earlier in the week without specifically mentioning a team. Dennis does, and I hate to kind of poo-poo on the 23-point win in Austin last night, but Dennis, as always, asked a very interesting question today.
Lifetime Achievement Award winner. We love some Dennis Mitchell. He says, good morning, John and Barry. In both of your opinion, who will be the next coach for the Indiana Hoosiers? And AEW Wrestling comes on TBS. Tony Khan is my hero.
Sweet.
Chris the Bammer says, I watch some wrestling on the CW W. I don't know who it was. Yeah, the forums on TigerInsider.com not real happy with Jimmy Dykes right now. I love Jimmy. I've worked with him a long, I think he does a really good job. But evidently, and I don't know the history here, according to many of them on that fine website, they believe that the last 3 or 4 times that Jimmy Dykes has called an Alabama game, he's been very complimentary of Alabama, very complimentary of their basketball team. But he mentions too many times, to their liking, that Nate Oates may stand a chance going elsewhere at the end of the season, that Alabama would not be able to keep him. I don't like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know. I hope he does. Sure, whatever. But they don't like Jimmy Dykes talking about their coach maybe finding, I don't know, greener pastures or something like that.
I'm glad they're focusing their opinions and their criticisms towards Jimmy and not me. Maybe I should have been more specific earlier in the week. Actually, I believe there was an Instagram post about this very subject. I mentioned earlier in the week. This was Sunday morning. I was heading down to church. I was listening to some guys, and they were talking about Oates. And they mentioned the Indiana job. And they talked about Indiana being a blue blood. And I know some people out there, what, Indiana? But look it up. They've had a very impressive resume in college basketball, particularly when Bobby Knight was there. And they consider themselves one of those programs that should be in the conversation each and every year. And I'm sure they're trying to do everything to get back to where they want. I'm sure a guy like Nate Oates looks really attractive to them. I mean, here's a guy that's come to a school that's really not known for basketball, gets into the Final Four, probably going to be a number 1 seed in the tournament. And Barry, you know, if Nate Oates gets this team to the Final Four again, they're going to be knocking his door down. They're going to be schools all across the country kicking the door down to try to get this guy. I mean, Greg Burns got to know that.
How much would Alabama be willing to spend to keep him? They can match anybody's offer. It's not as though Alabama would be crying poor. It's whether or not they would want to. And he would be numero uno at that place, and he'll never be numero uno at Alabama.
And I think he knows that. I mean, let's realistically. I mean, they can write and say whatever they want, but football's not basketball's not numero uno at Auburn. I mean, they love the fact that they've been good, and Bruce is a big promoter, and he gets out there and rah-rahs it, but they want to win football national championships. Same thing at Alabama. And Nate Oates knows that. And if Oates and Pearl can win a natty, oh, man, that's great. That's awesome. We love you. And I don't think, a new arena is going to keep him or make him leave. He said that publicly before. He said it right here once. But they are building a really nice basketball practice facility and locker rooms and workout and all this kind of stuff that's, was approved and under construction. I mean, the pictures look phenomenal. So he's getting what he wants. But Greg Burns got to know there are going to be some people looking. So I think Bama fans don't need to put their head in the sand and think, oh, no, there's no way he'll leave. I'm not saying he'll leave.
Right.
But people are going to be inquiring.
Yes. And they're going to be coming with large checkbooks. That's just a fact. I didn't want to bring that up about Jimmy Dykes. He brings it up all the time. He wants Alabama to lose. He hates Bama. Yeah, that ain't it. I wanted to bring it up in that context and have John kind of take over the narrative, because it's another instance where John has said something and it turns out to be a deal. You guys are, that's not what does he know? He doesn't know. Well, that's what people are talking about. like Auburn. John has been telling us this for over a year now. And the piece comes out from AL.com about Auburn originally planned to build a new basketball practice facility, but instead will renovate Neville Arena to the tune of $9 million. Renovate it. Place is what? Feels like 6 years old or something like that. Also, the reason why they are not moving on with the basketball practice facility as much as anything else, like John said, Tiger Athletics Director John Cohen says there were a time when facilities were the number one priority in terms of the recruitment of student athletes. Now I think it's very safe to say there are different priorities. I would say that facilities probably might not be number one or two at this point. We have to prepare. The world has changed. We have to prepare for the inevitable, which is NIL deals, amounts, payments. There's no question that's going to take center stage. Again, yet another very frustrating, very, very anger-producing from John Longshore, because he told you that was the case. Turns out, yeah, he was right.
I hate it for Bama basketball fans that love it and want to go, but you better just get used to Coleman Coliseum, because that's what you're going to get. And also, they're spending $50-60 million on this new basketball practice facility adjacent to, I think you can walk from Coleman to the new practice facility. It looks great. That's what you're going to get. But NIL is the king. It's all about what these coaches and athletic directors are about. And then if they do, and then premium seating. I talked about that earlier this week. The NFL, it's huge. That's all they're worried about. The NFL is premium seating options.
Well,
and you see it happening on college campuses as well.
How about this from Greg Byrne, another athletic director who obviously watches this program? Can we go ahead and just acknowledge that without any fear of retribution? Alabama athletic director Greg Byrne on court storming. He does not believe a financial penalty, no matter how large, will curtail court and field stormings after big wins. Instead, Byrne says it's time to consider the ultimate stick, an automatic and immediate forfeit, home loss for the home team. Greg Byrne says it's hard to think you can have enough security to hold back thousands of people that want to get on the field. People say it's just a celebration. It is a celebration, but it's not a safe one. That's a little bit over the top. Greg Byrne says, I think that's a tough proposition to do. He says a lot of people want to make their TikTok videos in that moment. Hey, here I am at the Auburn, Alabama game, and Tide just won. Woo! But he says, we have had visiting players approached and insulted pretty aggressively so somebody could make a video recording. Those aren't healthy realities. Again,
I totally agree with that. That's been my thing all along. Somebody's going to get cold cocked. A fight's going to break out. Somebody's going to try to push the buttons and push the limit on a coach or a player, and something's going to happen, or an opposing team's fan. And I get what Byrne is saying here, but number one, how many people constitute a mob rushing the field? 10,000 or 10? And what's to say a group of opposing teams' fans rush the field, so you'll have to forfeit? I mean, I don't know how you could police that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think it's a very and of course he's looking at it. Greg Byrne is looking at it from the perspective of the rush-e rather than the rush-or, because Alabama's not forfeiting a game. They don't rush the field. Those hooligans, those ruffians. It's like the Ben Affleck character said in Dazed and Confused. I heard there were some ruffians about, ma'am. It's the ruffians at Vanderbilt that may injure some of our student athletes or something like that. But to forfeit the game,
there's got to be stricter penalties, harsher penalties. Obviously, the money, nobody cares. It's not coming out of their pocket. But, man, if your team's got to forfeit a game or a home game or something like that, seems extreme, but I don't know how they're going to stop it. And are they waiting for something bad to happen that makes the news is the first story on the news? Well, in Tuscaloosa, Alabama last night, there were 12 people injured when they were stampeded One guy took a cheap shot to the back of the head. He's in the emergency room. You don't want that to happen. And it is. You know what's coming. As long as this goes on, something like that's going to happen. And I don't know why we're waiting for it. It's like, why are we waiting for Robbie from Greenville to chat? Today, boom, set the alarm. He's up. He's here.
Okay, well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. I like that. We're going to have to get to those. Greg Sankey says this about court storming. He says, we've had conversations with our folks at ESPN. It would be helpful, and I'm just quoting here, it would be helpful if our media partners didn't glorify the moment repeatedly. We've had candid conversations about that. That certainly hadn't stopped our media partners from showing those moments. And that is a lot of it. I mean, still most of it is, people with their TikTok and people with, trying to get on Snapchat or whatever with it. But
we went through a phase, and I guess we're still going through the phase. When some knucklehead streaks down the field at a pro game or runs down the field with some flag waving or some sign in protest or whatever they're doing, they don't show it. The commentators go, well, we got a little break in the action here. Somebody, some idiots on the field or whatever. But when it comes to court storming, he's right. ESPN's all over it. Oh, look at this. Isn't this great? This is what makes college athletics special. No, it doesn't. Yeah. It makes it stupid. And these people, they go, oh, yeah, you got to allow the field storm. Well, they're again asked the question, what do you do when you get out there? Woo, we're here. Well, okay, now what do we do?
And when do you know it's over? When do you know it's done?
I hate to sound like an old man saying to get off my lawn. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And until they do something that really bites you in the butt, it's going to continue.
I think it's going to continue even if you get bit in the butt.
I pose the question to you, Alabama fans, as we go to break. Will there be a court storm in Tuscaloosa if you knock the number 1 team off Saturday afternoon?
I pray that there will.
Well, I know you do.
So they'll shut up about it.
Well,
we don't do that. I understand. I don't want to hear any of the rationalizations by the blue hairs who say, well, that was just the riff. Those weren't real.
Let me tell you how this is going to play out quickly, folks. And our man CJ Duncan standing by after our next break. It could be a world record on cell phone texting. If there is a court storm in Tuscaloosa, my phone, ding, ding. I mean, it'll be dinging
you got that right.
Instantly, and the first one will be from the guy that's sharing the screen with me right now.
Yeah. I will have my thumb poised on the send button as soon as I see the first person. If it's a student, if it's one of the people who the court, if it's a blue blood, if it's some hooligan out there, I don't care. 1, maybe 2. 2 is a court storming, in my view. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. That will count. When we come back, CJ Duncan.
2 is a bunch of knucklehead new boy frat guys that they've been told, hey, y'all run out there. It's got to be more than 2. I got to say you got to have at least
10?
40.
40?
40.
No way. That's too many.
To make it a real, look, if you're going to court storm, don't be half-ass about it. Either storm the court or don't let 40 people go out.
I'm just talking about the minimum qualification for a court storming is 2. If there's 2 people out there, I'm going to be, hey, look at him. He's in the middle of the court dancing around. Yeah. Hit send right there. When we come back, CJ Duncan, Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239 9316. That's 239 9316.
About 25 minutes to the top of the hour here on this Wednesday, and joining us as he does each and every week at this time, our friend CJ Duncan from Yellow Hammer News here today. Hey, CJ, how many people constitute storming the court? How many you got to have to make it official?
Once you get to about 20, I think you're safe. I think with basketball, it's naturally going to be less people than it is football. Football, it would probably need to be more than 20, but basketball, once you get about 20, with that court being as small as it is and the amount of people that are already on there, including media, I think 20 is plenty.
Well, I remember it was a few years back when Vanderbilt was playing at home. It was after your career had concluded in Nashville, and John and I were at that time. They were on the field and they got fined for it, but it wasn't really a storming. It was a field strolling more than anything else. They were just some of the fans got there, looked around and everything. They'd never been on the field, and they were waving at their friends and all that. And they got stuck for $100,000. A storming needs to be a storming. Like when Vanderbilt beat Alabama this year in football. That's a by gosh storming. We've got to define our terms here, CJ.
Well, we had to practice a little bit. We didn't have many opportunities to actually storm. And if you see our football stadium, the way it's set up, to get down on the field, that's a pretty big jump, right? And so I think people have always been hesitant, but they have found a way now to get down on the field, as you saw during the Alabama game.
Yeah.
I think this year we've racked up almost $1 million, if not more, in stormings as a university, if you include football and basketball.
Well, at least you don't have hedges around your field, CJ, because I saw a woman basically be eaten by the hedges at Jordan-Hare Stadium one night. I still have a vivid memory of it. It was actually it was pretty funny, but I was a little concerned for a minute. But at least you don't have the hedges.
Yeah. The way it's set up, we were talking about this. I've done a lot of games at Vanderbilt. Baseball, all of it is just all right together. They get more out of their acreage, and I guess it's the west end of Nashville, than any school in the SEC. That's the facilities for you when you were there at Vanderbilt. They've made a lot of improvements, a lot of big improvements, but they've got to be kind of careful with everything because they don't have unlimited acreage to expand and all of that as well, CJ.
Sure. I think as a city as a whole, we are landlocked. I don't know what our 10 or 15-year plan was back in 2013 or whatever it may be, but we are, as a city, we're kind of locked in. When we want to do new things as a city, that being Nashville, you usually either have to tear down a current building and build up a new one, or just renovate. And so, especially at Vanderbilt now, we're just renovating a lot of the stuff that we do have. Like you said, our baseball, basketball, and football stadiums are all connected. If you hit a foul ball on the baseball field, it goes into the football stadium. And if you hit a home run, it hits the top of the basketball stadium.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a lot of renovations at the football facility. I'm looking forward to seeing them completed this fall. It should be really neat. Seen some artist renderings of it. And I know Vanderbilt's very excited about it. CJ, your thoughts about the Super Bowl on Sunday?
You know what? It was I wasn't mad at the outcome, but I was disappointed in, I guess, the watch. I would love to see a more competitive game. It seemed as if the Eagles just came out with a lot more urgency than KC. From the very jump, you could tell that they played a little faster, played a little harder, and played a little bit more disciplined. I was really shocked to see that Kansas City, a team that's been in this moment so many times, that they were so undisciplined. I mean, they had guys lining up off sides, not jumping
Yeah.
off, but lined up off sides, right? And you had either drive killers or you had drive extenders, all by Kansas City. So it was good to see Jalen Hurts get his Super Bowl. He's been a stand-up guy since we've seen him since he was introduced to the world by the University of Alabama. It was good to see that. Saquon Barkley, I've been rooting for all year. And how about Devontae Smith? What a football resume he's got. You know, he's won a national championship. He's won a Heisman. Now he's won a Super Bowl, and he's scored in both the national championship and the Super Bowl. So good to see him do well. And I mean, that Eagles team is loaded with SEC guys, so it's hard to root against them.
Do you think the Eagles are built to last?
I think they are.
Will we see them over and over again in those types of scenarios, CJ?
Well, you know what? This is twice in 3 years, so they're already kind of showing some consistency now. And, you know, there one Jalen Hurts fumble a few years back from probably winning that one as well. So they have a real shot, and a lot of their guys are on rookie contracts. The guys that are making plays are still on rookie contracts,
Yep.
especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you've already locked up Jalen and AJ Brown long term, and also Devontae. Excuse me. They've all gotten paid, and they've been able to make it work, right? So as long as someone like a Lane Johnson, they find somebody to replace him at some point as he's getting older, or that offensive line, as long as it stays intact, I think Saquon Barkley loves being there. He's from Pennsylvania. I think that team's going to be around as long as those guys continue to stay healthy.
Maybe another team in the NFL can follow that pattern, that blueprint. We'll talk more about that a little bit later in the show, though. But it is amazing how much great talent they've gotten signed there in Philadelphia. I've heard some people say, hey, how are they going to keep them all on the same team? It looks like they found a way, at least for the foreseeable future. But they were. I tell you, CJ, what? And I'm not an offensive and defensive line guy. Never was. Never really paid much attention to it. But I did Sunday, and it was so obvious to a guy like me that doesn't know a lot about that position. Though both lines of scrimmages for the Philadelphia Eagles were just dominant.
They were absolutely dominant, and Kansas City had been getting away with putting their all-pro left guard Joe Tooney at tackle, right? And those are two very different positions, and I know if you don't really watch the game of football or you don't know it super well, just trust me on this. Those are two different positions, and he had done an excellent job kind of serving as their left tackle as they went through injuries and things like that. But it was exposed this past week. It was just exposed that they were kind of a makeshift offensive line. Creed Humphrey was their only stable guy right there in the middle at center, and it's just hard when they've got so many guys coming in, right? You're worried about Jalen Carter, but then they start rotating and 93 comes in there, and he probably was the MVP outside of Jalen Hurts, right? So they were absolutely dominant. Their offensive line, when Saquon gets all those rushing yards and he almost eclipses the record, that's just as much the offensive lineman's award as it is Saquon's. Saquon winning Offensive Player of the Year is the offensive line's award as well. They were excellent the entire season.
It's funny. We talk with CJ Duncan all the time. It's very intelligent. His commentary happens to me all the time because I have a list of questions I want to ask you, and he usually addresses them even before I get a chance to ask them. With all respect to Saquon and Hurts and the wide receivers and Mahomes and Josh Allen and all that, to what extent really can you do you subscribe to the fact that, this is a line of scrimmage league? You're not winning a championship if you're not winning the line of scrimmage. Am I right, CJ?
Absolutely. I think that you could take that to college as well. I think whoever wins in the trenches, you'll see them probably win that particular game. It is very important because those guys set the tone. They set the tone early on what kind of game this is going to be. If you want to play finesse, you're probably going to get taken advantage of. Because these offensive linemen, they're tough, they're physical, and if they get rolling downhill, and then your running backs and your skilled guys get some open lanes, then you're in trouble. Because all the offense wants is one-on-ones 10 yards down the field. They think our guys can beat you in one-on-one when we get 10 yards down the field. If we get those opportunities, then we're more likely to win. And if on the opposite side of things, if that defensive line is getting penetration and I can't get up to the one-on-one, then it's going to be tough for us to win the ball game as well.
And I guess it was since the arrival of Nick Saban, I never really thought about it, CJ, but athletic defensive linemen, they seem hard to find. And these guys are out going all over the country looking for big, physical, athletic defensive linemen. Those are three characteristics that are hard to put all three together in a defensive lineman, but the good teams find them.
They do. I think you're exactly right, and that's why you're starting to see now. If you think about it, ever since let's see, I guess Von Miller back at Texas A&M, you're starting to see where these teams are saying, okay, you know, we really need some speed on the edge, but he may be a little small. He's a linebacker, maybe a little small. If we put a little weight on him, he's going to be the difference maker. So you're starting to see these guys like Von Miller, and even this year, Abdul Carter for Penn State, he'll be a top 2 pick for that exact reason. Now, if this was 10, 12 years ago or more, they would have just had him at Mike linebacker and it all have been well. But now these linebackers are gaining a little weight and they're using their speed to get an advantage on the matchup against the left and right tackle.
All right, I need you to settle. This is another thing I had written down. I need you to settle a long-standing dispute between John and me, and this goes way back when Julio Jones was at Alabama. And John would tell me he was trying to be, I don't know, George Hallis or somebody like that. What really impresses John about young Julio Jones when he was in Alabama is that he's such an dynamic downfield blocker. And I just about fell out of my chair. Yeah, they wanted Julio Jones for his blocking ability. And John was like, oh, I must disagree, Barry. I have to take the alternate viewpoint on that. How important is that, especially for a stud receiver like Julio Jones or some of the real physical receivers out there? Talk to us about the importance of downfield blocking as a receiver, CJ.
I think it is similarly to what I just said about the offensive lineman.
That's what made me think of it.
If your receiver is blocking downfield, right, it is setting a tone that we're playing with energy, we're playing with effort, and those 40-yard runs turn into 70-yard runs, right? Those 30-yard runs turn into 80-yard runs. Folks like Saquon cannot break those long runs that he has in the NFL if guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith aren't blocking downfield. Now, in the large scheme of things, is someone like Saquon probably going to break that tackle or make a move to score? More than likely, but you're making his job a little bit easier. I do think that when you see teams that have these long dynamic splash plays down the field, it's usually because a receiver's making a second effort.
Yeah, just to be clear here, CJ, obviously Julio was recruited and signed for his ability to catch passes and his speed. But the added bonus of downfield blocking, I noticed it early in his career and brought up how I've noticed how well he and the effort that he puts out there. But I'm with you. If you're not downfield blocking, you're going to be on the bench because your coaches want you helping out your teammates every possible way you can. And some of these guys that play the wide receiver position can be somewhat of a prima donna, thinking they don't need to block. They don't need to do that. I'm just going out for a route. And if I'm not open, I'll just walk back to the huddle, whatever. But guys that give that extra effort and do help out their teammates, they do block, I think are incredibly important. I mean, I used to get my remote and wind it back when I would see a wide receiver blocking downfield to show my boys. This is what I'm talking about right here. Look at this guy. And
absolutely. Well, that was what, as a slot receiver, if I wanted to be on the field for all 3 downs, I had to invest into blocking. I had to, because if not, they'll just bring a tight end in to do the job. And so if I wanted to make our offense better, for us to disguise our plays a little bit better, because 9 times out of 10, they're thinking if they got 3 receivers in the game, they're probably throwing the ball. But if we could have a run action off of a 11 personnel set, then it allows us to be more likely to fool the other team and get that first down. So blocking is is everything in the run game, regardless of who's on the field. If you're able to do your part in that, it is very beneficial. And when you get back on Monday or even on Sunday, the coach will pull you up, and
Oh
if,
yeah.
if you're lollygagging around and the guy that you were supposed to be blocking is the one who made the tackle on Saquon Barkley,
Ooh.
that's going to be a
Film
rough day
don't
in the
lie.
film room. I'm telling
That's
you.
exactly.
And
They're
then
going
Saquon's
point.
going to look at you like this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not only is the coach going to get
you do.
but your opposing teammates going to go, hey, man, help me out. But here's one thing people are missing, which is, there again, you can only take it so far. But if wide receivers weren't blocking defensive backs, we wouldn't have all that extra chatting and pushing and getting up in each other's face, which I kind of like seeing
Which
these guys
John
going
enjoys.
at it a little bit. I mean, don't want to take it too far. But, if that wasn't going on, you wouldn't have that little extracurricular activity that I kind of like to see time and time again during a game.
That's usually where it stems from. And if you look back at any of my games or any of my pictures, you can see my mouthpiece is usually in the top of my helmet because I'm saying a few words to the defensive back after a block. You know what I mean? So trust me, that's usually when the game really gets started, when you lay a good lick on a DB that didn't want to be blocked on the backside of a play. You know what I mean? So it's that's
You're telling the
usually
guy I'm
when
going to
we
be here
find our
all
problems.
day. I ain't going anywhere. Be looking for me on every play.
Absolutely. Yeah, because the DBs, they always want to come up to you before the game and like kind of set an agreement. Like if I'm backside, we'll just we'll just give each other a little touch there. And my coach Cortez Hankton was not going for that. He's like, no, we're gonna be physical. Knock some chin straps loose, and we'll see what happens.
Love it. Love it.
CJ, this is always great. We do appreciate all of your time. Every week we look forward to it. We get so many good responses about your contributions here, and we appreciate it. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me. I look forward to next week.
Yep, us too. Thank you so much, my friend. CJ Duncan, Yellowhammer News, joining us here today, as he does each and every Wednesday on the program with Longshore and McKnight. Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to go too far, but I do like the little chit-chat, the little talk. I mean, I was known as a talker.
I was thinking about, where is this coming from? Where is this emotion coming from John, wanting everybody to give extra effort on the field, even if it's not immediately noticed? John is saying that, and it's because he wants to see somebody get a little chippy on the other side. Plays going off left tackle. You're the wide receiver to the right, and you're 20 yards downfield, and you're still blocking that DB who's 30 yards away from it, and he's trying to throw you off of there, and everything goes, ooh, this ought to be good. That's why John likes the downfield.
And Barry, if you're lined up on the left side of the field, the play's going to the right, say it's a toss sweep to the right or whatever, and it's you and this DB on the left side, and the refs are looking all the way over here to the right, that's when you can throw that cheap shot on and get away with it.
Yeah. In John's abbreviated wide receiver career, if he was split out left and he knew the play was a toss sweep to Stewart to the right, John would line up on the left side. And the defensive back would be in his stance and everything, man-to-man press coverage against Longshore. Longshore's up there going, he ain't going out for anything. That's
little cheap shot coming here. You better believe. Yeah.
CJ Duncan.
Barry, I call that gamesmanship. I don't really know what the true definition of gamesmanship is, but I think that defines it. Getting in your opponent's
like pornography. Head. John can't define it, but he knows what he is when he sees it.
I mean, if I'm playing golf and say something that might not be, I don't know, proper etiquette on a golf course, I consider that gamesmanship.
That's right,
Yeah.
Well, we get some more perspective on the River Region Straw chat line on the attractiveness of the head basketball coaching position at Indiana University.
Oh.
Robbie, not only is he up, but he is thoroughly caffeinated. So are all of our other guys. My great friend Jason Jones, Terrence. Great to hear from Chris the Bammer and John from Wetumpka, Dennis Mitchell, and everybody.
So I think, Barry, Robbie is kind of bogarting off Tobias's chat earlier today. Tobias compares Indiana basketball to Nebraska football. Both irrelevant, nothing good since Bobby Knight left. I think Nebraska wants to get back. I think Indiana wants to get back. Now, they've struggled, and there's no doubt about it, but okay, they're not up there with the guys that you're immediately thinking about when it comes to the best football and basketball programs today. They once were, and I think they're really trying to do whatever it takes to get back there. That's kind of my point with a guy like Nate Oates. They want to get back. They've seen what Oates has done at Alabama. They feel like he could get that done in Bloomington.
And they will give him carte blanche to do it. Robbie says Indiana is not an attractive job. I got to get this one. I wanted to wait until after the break because we need to go to break. But Robbie knows how to push my buttons. He knows how to. How about this? Do we understand the tone of this one? 722. Robbie from Greenville says Alabama was 17 of 29 from three-point range at Texas. Yeah, they were shooting the eyes out of it. Held Texas to only 29% shooting in the first half. Alabama, though, still needs to cut down on the turnovers. But he did mention Auburn. And the number one team in the country winning an SEC game on the road. Robbie says Auburn, though, got out-rebounded by 9 versus Vanderbilt. That's his only contribution about the Auburn game. Alabama Alabama shot it well from outside. Their defense was good against the Texas shooters. Auburn got out-rebounded. That is a
Robbie with the stat sheet. I do have a question. Notice this watching. We talked about Vanderbilt's arena. That's really the first time I paid any attention to the arena in Austin, where the game was played last night, Alabama and Texas. It doesn't look like it holds a lot of people. And I'm trying to figure out, the roofs are kind of at an angle like that. They don't go this way. It's not like a box. They're kind of an angle. And on those angled panels look like projection screens all around the entire arena.
Yes.
Scoreboard, statistics, advertising, this, that, and the other. It looked pretty cool. And I just thought to myself, I've never really paid much attention to the arena in Austin.
That's a nice one. They used to have one they called the Super Drum. I don't even know if that's even still around. But you look at that one. You look at Neville. I can't understand why Neville is getting $9 million in renovations. That's like 1/10 of the total price that John kept quoting when they built the thing.
No kid, $93 million.
What do they need to renovate it?
Didn't they revamp the locker rooms a couple of years ago at Neville? I want to say they spent a lot of money on that. Not a lot, but spent some money on the locker rooms, maybe some recruiting areas or whatnot. But I'm with you. I don't know what they're spending $9 million on.
Anyway, it's all, like John said, the screens up there in Austin, the crystal and the extra glass at Columbia, South Carolina for a team that's not very good. It's all for the fans. It is for the fans. For their comfort and entertainment.
Can we make this priority number one? I think we realize Alabama, is stuck too harsh of a word, probably, but I don't think Coleman Coliseum's going anywhere. Again, NIL, new practice facility, all that stuff. So they're going to keep Coleman. They're going to have to endure Coleman Coliseum. Is there any way to make it more fan friendly? Is there any way to make get the fans closer to the action? I know that would probably cost a lot of money to reconfigure it, but could you do it? But first and foremost, and I'm staying on this till it happens, get the media area out of the where it is right now. Put it somewhere else and put the fans where the media sits in Coleman Coliseum. It looks terrible on television. Get your fans that are making noise there. Put the media somewhere else. Ridiculous.
But if you put the media, who is it we were talking to yesterday? Oh, it was our Josh yesterday, right?
Yeah.
He was saying, put them way up in the top where the rafters are. And I've heard all the jokes. We've had them on the chat line. Hey, if they got TV coming in on Saturday, they better switch out the 60-watt bulb and get a 100-watt in there. If you put them way up there, it's dark up there. They're going to be sitting up there with their flashlights on their phones trying to do their work and stuff like that.
It's like a movie theater. But, look, you've been there. I've been there. If you ever have the chance to go to the press box at the Caesars Superdome, you better take an oxygen mask
Yeah,
You
no
are
kidding.
so high up off of the action,
Yeah.
but hey, who's complaining?
Well, I have before, but I mean, you're looking down. You've got clouds underneath you. You got birds flying around. I'm thinking, man, if I drop my cup of Diet Coke or something down there, it'll be 45 seconds before it hits. I mean,
And it's,
you got to be
as I've
careful
said,
of
it's all about premium seating.
it. No doubt.
And Greg, you got a premium seating area right there, and you're not using it. I'm just helping you out here, my man. Just trying to help you out.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're into our second live hour. If you're watching us on repeat, if you're watching us, say, at 3 o'clock this afternoon, we promise to you, still to come, our Victoryland 777 topic wheel. It's a big one.
Yep.
And we are a basketball show today. We are talking the hoops. Number one versus number two. John and I have known each other for almost 30 years, and we've worked with each other for almost 30 years. We have never been in this situation where we are previewing and forecasting a number one versus number two matchup, but we never thought we'd see it. You know, not only are we doing it, there were times when John and I, when confronted with this fantasy, yeah, right, like that's going to happen. You know, that's almost as unbelievable as Auburn getting a junior college quarterback and all of a sudden him, yeah.
Vast majority of the time on the 12th day of February, we're recapping signing day and looking forward to spring football practice. It wasn't basketball. It has been a pleasant change.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. We got a lot going on in the next hour. Hey, the Phantoms daily pick in the next hour as well, with along with the Victoryland 777 topic wheel.
And John from Wetumpka, I feel you. Spring training is open in baseball at a lot of places. Not everybody is open, but pitchers and catchers are reporting. You've got all of these video podcasts from Port Charlotte and Surprise, Arizona, and Dunedin. The birds are
When would you
singing.
like for me to give my prediction on the Atlanta Braves this year? I mean, you know what it's going to be, but would you like for me to wait?
Like you would if I asked you to. Yeah, that's happening. Let's take a break. Back in just a moment. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Joining us now is Marianne from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, and it is Valentine's. Marianne, tell us what's in store when Cupid arrives.
Definitely. Valentine's is now. It's amazing. This year is going by quickly already. But one thing you don't need to forget or let slip by you is the opportunity to show that special person you love exactly what you're thinking of them, that you're thinking about them. And we have lots of great options. For the first time ever, we're going to have price point cases to make it easy shopping for all the guys out there, ladies, anyone. So we're going to have a case for $199, $299, $399. We have lots of great specials, lots of things. If you come in, we even have time for some special customized designs because at Marguerite's we really do make it. So again, don't be last minute. Don't forget about it. This is your cue. All the hearts in the background. Valentine's Day is here and you want to stop at Marguerite's because we'll wrap it up and help you find that perfect gift.
Glad you mentioned the beautiful gift wrap. Just another example of what sets Marguerite's apart from everyone else. And whether it's a ring, a bracelet, a necklace, any jewelry item, and as Marianne mentioned, they have them in different cases at different price points. Or if you have something special in mind, they can certainly handle that as well. Marguerite's is a full-service jeweler. They do it all from sales to repairs to special orders. And you're located there at 8163 Vaughn Road in Peppertree. And Marianne, you're open 7 days a week, so that's very convenient for our viewers and listeners.
Exactly. We're open 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. We're open from 10 to 5:30 on Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday. So the hardest thing you have to do is open the door, and we'll take it from there.
That's right. Hey, let's have a great Valentine's, folks, and it all starts at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Marianne, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, 4 minutes past the top of the hour. Longshore McKnight back at it here on the program presented by our friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. I don't want to say let's get this out of the way because it sounds like I don't think it's very important. But I think in the business they call it a quick hitter. How about
All
that?
right.
A quick hitter.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Bear, I believe it is official. The New Orleans Saints have hired a new head football coach, Kellen Moore. He was the offensive coordinator of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Did a little research on him. He's also been a coordinator for the LA Chargers and the Dallas Cowboys. And he played quarterback in Boise State.
Yes, he did. I remember him. He was left-handed. He was, when they won the Fiesta Bowl that year behind Jared Zabransky at quarterback and Ian Johnson at running back, they had the funny 2-point conversion on a trick play, and the running back proposed to his girlfriend after the game and all that. They were saying, yeah, well, let's see if it continues. Where Kellen Moore was good in college. Left-handed quarterback, not a great arm, but kind of a fan favorite and everything. 36 years old, the youngest head coach in the NFL right now, John. And everything I'm reading, and I haven't tracked it thinking of it like this, everything I'm reading says that this represents a major organization-wide change in philosophy. They ain't hiring any more defensive coaches as the head coach. They're all about the offense. He's been usually a very intricate passing guy. He has pretty sophisticated passing schemes where he's been, even at Dallas.
Just didn't have a quarterback.
Well, that's my question. Who he may be, the wizard of the Crescent City. But who's he going to get to run this thing?
Well,
right?
That's a great question. And I'm with you. A couple things. I get it. I think if you're going to win in the NFL, you got to have an offensive-minded head coach. I mean, you just look at the teams that are good. They got offensive coaches running the show. So I think that's a huge plus. Dennis Allen, defensive guy. You saw the results. Terrible.
Yeah.
So I like that. And I like he's been in the league. This is his. He's been an offensive coordinator at 3 different places. Now he's a head coach at a organization that they got to be patient because they're old. They got a lot. They've spent a lot of money. They got a big payroll. I think it's going to be a couple of years to get things settled, to find a quarterback. Maybe this isn't your year because I don't think there are a lot of great quarterbacks out there, and there certainly won't be many when the Saints get their first pick. I don't know if they're going to try to get rid of some people, trade some people to move up into the draft. But it isn't going to happen overnight. But I do like the fact that, hey, we got a guy that's an offensive guy. Yep, you got to get your quarterback. But they got to be patient. And I think, if they can win more than 5 games, which is what they won this year, if they could go 8-8, that'd be kind of a good start. That might be asking a little bit too much. But I don't know. The more I looked into the guy, finished 8th in the Heisman voting one year at Boise State. Yeah,
he was
how about
a good
that?
player. It's not like this year. John's right about this. It's not like this past year where a guy like Jaden Daniels can absolutely change an organization. There's no Caleb Williamses out there. There's no Bo Nixes out there. So it's not like they're going to get somebody out of the draft and immediately just walk in there and save the franchise like a Jaden Daniels or something. Gosh, if he could have gone to New Orleans out of LSU, that would have been good. New Orleans has the number 9 pick in the draft.
All right. It's not all bad.
They do need offensive. Well, they need everything out there. So it has the look that, man, you guys better be patient with Kellen Moore because he ain't going to light a fire under the NFL this year at all.
Hadn't looked at the schedule yet either, but usually when you don't have a good year, the next year they give you a little help in scheduling, so they say. Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. But glad they finally got that locked down. Before you know, the NFL draft will be here, and I'm not sure what city it's in this year. I know they're moving it around. I know obviously Nashville blew it out a couple of years ago. I believe it's been in Vegas, but I'm not real sure where the draft is this year. But they're going to make it a big spectacle, a big party
This
and
year,
we'll see how that plays out.
believe it or not, last year they had it in Detroit. This year, 2025, they're having it in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Huh. Well, I guess the weather's a little better in April, maybe not as cold. But, maybe they're going to cities like that, Barry, because I saw an article about cities the NFL will never go to host a Super Bowl. Green Bay was one of them.
Well,
Buffalo was one of them.
Yeah, for the same reason, because it's daggum freezing and it's an outside thing. This year, it's going to be in Green Bay. Next year, the draft is going to be in Pittsburgh. So you kind of get that theme, John. You kind of understand what they're doing there.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder what other cities. I think Cincinnati was another one that's not ever getting a Super Bowl. There were a handful that weren't that the NFL's not going to. Hotel accommodations, weather, stadium configuration. One of the stadiums that they touched on that surprised me. Chicago. They're never going to Chicago. And I'm thinking, well, there's plenty of hotel rooms in Chicago. There's plenty of bullets flying too, but hey.
And, I'm telling you, the coldest I've ever been in my life was with my brother Mike and my sisters in downtown Chicago. I guess it was December. It was December. Oh, my gosh. Chicago is like Nome, Alaska. 26 draft will be the draft. We're not talking about the Super Bowl now. The draft in 26 will be in Pittsburgh. They are predicting that the odds are kind of skewing for the 2027 NFL draft site. New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey,
New Orleans may be next after Green Bay and Pittsburgh.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be good. And New Orleans can do it. They love them some New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, you could have block some of Canal down by the river. They like blocking streets. I mean, that's what they did in Nashville. They blocked portions of Broadway and had it there, and everybody came out. So, yeah, I could see that being pretty cool. The reason Chicago's not – this surprised me. This really surprised me. The seating capacity, is it still Soldier Field in Chicago? Okay.
Yes.
The seating capacity at Soldier Field does not meet the minimum requirement that the NFL has to have to host a Super Bowl. The stadium's too small. Not enough seats.
It used to be huge. They've downsized it, and they've added a few suites, which I thought the NFL would like that stuff. Yep. So
not enough seats. So the Chicago's not going to get it.
All right, stop texting me. It's distracting. My phone's buzzing all over the place. When's the Phantom got his daily pick? Hey, has the Phantom done his daily pick yet?
After the next break.
What time do you? It's coming.
Yeah, we're going to do that after the next break. Yeah. We believe it's already been it's already loaded into the system, my brain. And we'll get it out on social media later today as well. But we're going to release the daily pick here always on the show, and then it'll be on Instagram and X and all that kind of stuff later in the day.
We'll hit up the Victoryland 777 topic wheel a little bit later on, but yeah, basketball. Number 1 versus number 2 this weekend.
Well,
it's going to be off the chain. We're going to talk
Who is going to be the favorite? Who is going to be the favorite?
And how much how much of the favorite? How big or how small how big will the line be for you to say, I didn't see that? I mean, what are you expecting? If Alabama's a favorite by 1.5, which is what I'm kind of thinking, or if it's 3 or 5 or
Emily Smar. I'm not familiar with Emily Smar. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She writes for the Tuscaloosa News. And it's in their article she writes, why odds makers are treating game with Auburn like Duke, North Carolina. She's got a little write-up about it. Alabama, I did hear last night Jimmy Dykes say that Alabama is number 1 in the coaches poll. But this is interesting. Emily says the Crimson Tide opened as a 4.5-point underdog Monday before facing number 2 Auburn in Coleman Coliseum on Saturday. Bet365, BetMGM, and DraftKings, all very, very reputable betting services. More on that later. All picked Bruce Pearl's Tigers at minus 5.5 points. In the earliest line projections, which will change by game day, she's right about that. There will be some movement. But, Barry, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing to me. I thought it would be 1-2 points at the most. She goes on to say, and where have you heard this before? The betting market loves Alabama. Alabama loves the betting market too. Oh, I'm talking about the state of Alabama.
Yeah. Right.
Sportsline betting expert Thomas Cassell told Tuscaloosa News, you really rarely get a good line with Alabama because pro bettors rank them so high in the power rankings, me included. So we will keep an eye on this throughout the week, but it's some of the reputable, credible, regulated. Those are words you're going to hear me talk a lot about in the next several months. They've already released some lines at Auburn minus 4.5. All right. We'll see it. See you. Bama, a dog at home.
Yes. At number, it seems kind of large to me. What do you think? 16 minutes into our second hour. Lots still to get to with Longshore and McKnight. He is in network control. I am in Lafayette, Louisiana. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Hey, folks, let's start 2025 off on the right foot at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where you can get a 2024 Ford Bronco up to $10,000 off MSRP as low as $34,990. What about the popular Ford Escape? Well, you can get one as low as $24,990 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. You know, the Ford Explorer is what started the SUV craze back in the early 80s, and it's still going strong today. You can save up to $8,000 off MSRP as low as $33,990 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. But I know what you're asking me. John, what about the popular F-150, America's best-selling pickup for over 50 years in a row? Well, you can get a 2024 F-150 Crew Cab at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP, plus no payments for 90 days. And they've got plenty to choose from. I've never seen as many cars and trucks on the ground at Stivers as they've got there today. Go by and see for yourself. 4000 Eastern Boulevard, Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars and trucks.
This isn't going to work. No matter what we say, some people still drive drunk. But we're Budweiser. Giving a damn is what we do. So, if you think it's okay to drive drunk, if you think it's something that's debatable, or you just simply don't care, this Bud is not for you. Give a damn. Don't drive drunk. Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Okay, back at it about 18 minutes past the hour. Woo, Barry, you can imagine my River Region Straw VIP text hotline has been dinging during the break. What? Bama's a dog of 4.5, 5.5 points? What the hey? Hey, I'm just telling you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they say, what the heck? Yeah, what the hey? Yeah, I know some of your guys. What the hey? I mean, jeepers.
Yeah, come on.
What are they thinking?
Golly, wow, Beaver.
Yeah,
you know, I was thinking 1 to 2. I got to tell you, 4.5, 5.5, a little big. there again, here it is Wednesday. I think it's going to settle down by tip-off. I will really be surprised if Auburn's a 5.5-point favorite Saturday at 3 p.m. I think it'll be a little lower than that.
I'm mildly surprised. And again, I don't know the first thing about gambling. I've never bet on anything in my life.
Oh, let's go to Vegas.
That Auburn's a favorite at all, you know?
Well, I see that. I don't.
In Coleman Coliseum, number 2 team in the country. I don't perceive that the sharps, the wise guys, Vito and Carmen and those guys,
Moose and Rocco,
I don't think they're giving Alabama very much credit. I thought people were taking this Alabama team serious.
Well, okay. How many times have you heard me say this since November? I think Auburn's the best team out there. They're the best, most complete, deepest team I've seen in college basketball. I've seen Duke play a couple of times, and I know Duke beat them, but I think all in all, Auburn's the best team I've seen. Alabama's good. Don't get me wrong. How many turnovers they have last night? 16?
16.
Can't turn it over 16 times and beat Auburn.
You can maybe do it against Texas. You're not going to do it against Auburn.
So we've seen this trend all year long about turnovers, and if they're not hot behind the three-point arc, things can get a little dicey. Sometimes their defensive play has been a little lackadaisical. But I just don't see that from Auburn. Yeah, they were a little sluggish, sloppy against Florida. I get it. But last night they came back, and, I mean, these guys are blowing Vandy out of the gym in the first 4 minutes. Now, I know Vandy kind of scrapped and clawed their way back, just teasing you. But Auburn came back, covered the spread. Everything was fine. Don't worry. Don't panic. That's why I think, and I said it weeks ago, who do you think is going to be the favorite when Auburn and Alabama play in Coleman? I just sent a text to a guy that's a big Auburn fan that I was asking him about it a couple of weeks ago. He goes, Willie, do you think Auburn's going to be a favorite? I went, yeah, I kind of do. Yeah. I just didn't think they'd be a 5.5-point favorite.
I didn't. Well, that's the other thing. That's a lot. And you know, you look at Vanderbilt and, Auburn, blew them out, and people aren't, paying a lot of attention to those schools, the Texases and the Vanderbilts, in, again, the deepest, most talented league that there's ever been in men's basketball anywhere at any time. Vanderbilt overall is 17-7. And they're going to get in the tournament 17-7, but they're 5-6 in the league. Texas, they were talking last night about them being a bubble team for the NCAA. They're 4-8 in the league. Mississippi State, we'll talk with Bart about that tomorrow. Mississippi State, 17-7. They're 5-6 in the league. You're going to have some teams in this league that are 20-win teams, and they're going to be 3 games below 500 in the SEC. These teams we're talking about, the Mississippi States, the Vanderbilts, heck, the Georgias, these are really, really teams. They're just the misfortune of playing in an absolute meat grinder of a league. And there has been some separation. Not only are Auburn and Alabama tied for first in the SEC at 10-1, but they're 2 games ahead of everybody else. There's that much of a cushion. So it's not like somebody's going to lose at Coleman Coliseum. So bear in mind just how good these teams are. And the teams that Alabama beat last night, that's a good team. Yeah. The team that Auburn beat last night, both of them at the opposing venue, those are good teams. It's just, for those people, those naysayers who are going Jalen Milroe on Mark Sears and saying, he turns it over too much. I don't like him. He makes some dumb passes. He makes some dumb plays. They're going Jalen Milroe on him. There ain't a team in the country that would not love to have Mark Sears. Now, I'm not sure I can say that about Milroe. There's probably some teams out there that are like, we're good. But Sears, you call any coach in the country, all 326 Division I coaches, every one of them is going to say, I want him. I'll take him. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Bama fans are like, I don't know. We got this true freshman who's already better than him. These guys can play.
They can play.
And don't waste this experience by the habitual naysaying. I don't like it. have they won a championship yet? No. Well, when they do, then call me. That's called being a front runner. You need to appreciate what you've got here and what's going on right now, because it hadn't happened ever. And who knows, it may never happen again.
And Barry, I think there's a lot of pressure. Not a lot, but there's pressure on Alabama to win this game Saturday, because if they're a 5.5-point dog at home to Auburn Saturday, how big of a dog they going to be at Neville Arena in 3 weeks?
8, 9. I don't know.
I think double digits is a little extreme. I think that's pushing it.
Yeah, I do too.
They could be 8.5, 9-point dog when they go to Neville. There again, I'm not surprised Auburn right now is a favorite, and I think they'll tip as a favorite because I think they're the better team. I think Auburn's the better team. I've been saying it for months.
I do too, but I didn't think that they would get the respect of being that sizable of a favorite at Coleman Coliseum, where Alabama's only lost once. One of John's favorite writers, and I'll repeat this again, writes in Coffee with Philip this morning, AuburnUndercover.com, and I quote, "Saturday's outcome won't end the story. Something to consider. Saturday's game between Alabama and Auburn is round 1. This game is bigger for Alabama than it is for Auburn because it's in Tuscaloosa. It's also big for Alabama. So many with Alabama connections view beating Auburn as a birthright. Being Auburn with number 1 on the line would be all that sweeter. None of that means it's not really big for Auburn, too. After all, it is Alabama. It's an opportunity for Auburn to reclaim an unchallenged position as the number 1 team in the nation. Can Auburn win? Sure it can. But the advantage is Alabama's because it'll be at home. That will flip when Alabama visits Neville Arena. Sounds like he is getting you prepared.
Sounds like
he's getting you ready. Yeah. I shouldn't have eaten that. I shouldn't have that granola bar in the commercial break.
But I thought it was just Philip's writing getting you all choked up. Philip,
made me nauseous. But he's feathering the bed saying, all right, if Auburn wins, it's not the end of the world. And fans are going like, what? You think Auburn's going to win?
I'll give you a list of Alabama's top 10 victories all time, and you give me a list of Auburn's top 10 victories all time. And how many of Alabama's will include Auburn, and how many of Auburn's will include Alabama? Let's put that list together right now, Philip. You got till the end of the day.
John hangs on Phillips every word when he writes this is John's Auburn preparation. What are the Auburn's do? Let me read Philip. But he doesn't do this because right after that, can Auburn win? Sure it can, but the advantage is Alabama's because it'll be at home. Right after that, John just totally jettisons the entire rest of the column.
Yeah, I'm done.
Because the very next thing he says is, you think SEC basketball is loaded? Take a look at the latest NFCA softball poll. Texas won Florida number. John ain't doing that. Hey, John reads Philip. Philip says, take a look at the latest softball poll. John says, no, I'm not. I won't.
Done.
He's done.
I'm done with it there. That's the beauty of it, because he kind of, spaces it out and gives every little section a heading so I know what I'm getting myself into. Let me throw this out to you. I mentioned it in the first hour. If Alabama beats the number 1 team in basketball as a 5-point underdog Saturday afternoon, are they storming the court? I've thrown that out there. Will it happen? Never has before. Will it happen on Saturday? We will see. I hope it doesn't. We'll see.
You got the students down
comes
there.
To Tuscaloosa and beats Alabama, the number 2 team in the league, do they go roll Toomer's corner? I think there's a better likelihood of them rolling Toomer's corner than Alabama fans storming the court. So, Philip, who's more into it? Who's got the rite of passage, as you put it? I mean, if they're going to go roll Toomer's corner again, because they won a regular season game on a Saturday afternoon, what? Are you kidding me?
Wait a minute. John doesn't like all that passion. He doesn't like all that excitement. Auburn's going to be excited to win this game? Who needs to have excitement? Who needs to have an energy about
I mean,
this?
they won last night, coming off a loss and going on the road and winning convincingly. I don't think they rolled Toomer's Corner. Maybe they did.
Was that the number 2 country? I don't think so. And this is John poo-pooing Auburn because they care about the game. They care about it a little too much. Which will be likelier? I'm just telling you. If Auburn wins on Saturday, they're going to roll Toomer's Corner. They will.
Why give your opponent the satisfaction of knowing, well, they beat us, but look at those fans. It means so much to them to beat us that they got to go roll those trees again, once again. If I'm Auburn, I'm going, no, we're not going to give them the satisfaction of knowing we went out there and rolled the trees. We're going to act like, no big deal. So what? It's just Alabama. Who cares? But no, they give Alabama fans more satisfaction knowing, look at those Aubs rolling those trees again.
Here's the healthy response. We are joyous. We are happy. We are exultant at the success of our team. Too bad we can't celebrate it because we don't want them to have the satisfaction of knowing that who cares? The healthy way to look at it is saying, yeah, we're rolling Toomer's Corner. I don't care what they do over there. Now, here's the total I'm looking for. Which total is greater? Because it ain't going to be like, 5,000 people shutting down traffic at the corner of College and Magnolia. It ain't going to be that. Which would be greater? The number of Auburn fans rolling Toomer's Corner versus the number of Alabama fans storming the court. Because either way, it ain't going to be a ton. You've got all students over there with the hard hats and the pom-poms and everything. They beat the number 1 team in the country, and they're the Aubs. Some of them are going to get out on the court. They just I don't care what the old fogies say.
43. I don't think all 15,043 are gonna get on the floor.
Oh no.
But I don't know. I have to think about that one. I'm not sure, but don't roll Toomer's Corner if you win. Just act like that. Just Alabama. Who cares? So what? But no, they're gonna give Bama fans something to get on tighter and cider about. Look at these Aubs. They beat us. First thing they do, go roll toilet paper. Yeah, I've seen it too many times before. I know what's coming.
Who cares? If I'm Auburn fan, I wouldn't give two toots what the Bama fans thought about it. If we can't give that. I really want to go out there. I really want to give an outlet to the joy and enthusiasm and excitement that I feel, but I have to hold it in because of what other people might say.
Have we got any updates yet on Tent City in Tuscaloosa? Have the tents been erected? Have they popped them up? Or are the students sitting there on what is that, Bear Bryant Drive? Isn't that the Bear Bryant?
Yeah.
That's right there in front of Coleman.
Right. But
are they there camping out?
Why not? Heck, man, you only go through college one. Well, never mind. Sorry.
I'm texting my son right now. Go by Coleman. Are there any
with the unspoken undertone that, gosh, I hope not. That would be embarrassing if they were so excited that they wanted to make sure they got a ticket. Young college students going through an experience for 4 years with thousands of other people their own age. Let's not have them, have fun or anything like that. They've got a certain decorum.
Let's set a number because I know what's going to happen. Some numbskull is going to go out there and pitch a tent. 1, maybe 2, and I'm going to get a picture of it from you-know-who.
Uh-huh.
But I'm talking about Tent City. I'm talking about an organized group, an organized effort of what looked like about 60 or 70 tents popped up out there in front of Neville Arena. I ain't talking about some lone wolf going out there going, I'll show them. I'm talking about a tent city because I know somebody, probably some Auburn fans going to go over and pitch a tent, make it look like he's a Bama fan. I know these people. I know how they operate.
What we're talking about here, what this line of conversation and logic tells me is that's the reason why Nate Oates would go to Indiana. That's the reason why, because I guarantee you they camp out in Bloomington. They camp out in Durham very famously. Nate is saying, man, the fans are excited, but there's certain things they don't do. Well, why not? Because they think it's beneath them. It's unseemly.
I'll say this.
He wants a tent city out there.
If
He
I'm
wants,
Greg
when
Byrne,
College Game Day comes there, he wants Jay Billis and them to weave through all the Coleman tents and all the kids out there with and stepping on pizza boxes and all that. He wants that. And the fans are not going to give it to him.
And Nate comes into my office and says, Greg, I just got to move on. They're not pitching enough tents here for me. I'm telling, if I'm Greg Byrne, I'm going, hit the door. I mean, you kidding me? The students don't pitch tents, so the coach is leaving? It's all about,
I'm
hey,
just
Greg,
talking about the
put another zero on my, another comma in my paycheck. I'll stay here a long time.
When they got other, you look, other than the students who are great and a couple of the fringe fans in the corners over by the media, you look at the fan base in Tuscaloosa during one of their home games. It looks like an oil painting, especially along the front. All those old fogies down there, I'm telling you, they've got the little cannulas coming out of their nose, and they got the they've got the suppose socks on and stuff like that. They ain't providing any energy. Nate's saying, man, I got kids coming out here, and they're going to walk up to the Auburn, Alabama game just like it was the Alabama game. These kids are saying, man, I thought you took it seriously around here. I'm telling you, if I'm not saying that's the case, but if it is, that's the reason why Nate goes somewhere else.
Well, I'm going to disagree. I think it's all about money. I don't think that other superficial stuff really matters. So what?
Not
Big deal.
all.
I mean, these kids aren't. I'm glad they're here, glad they're cheering, but how much you paying me?
Well, some people might say the money is the superficial stuff.
How much is my NIL collective? We got to get that,
How did he become so jaded? How has it just been everything's about money all the time? What did it? John can take any argument, any facet of the world we live in today, and he can boil it down to money. I mean, you can look at one of those David Attenborough Animal Planet specials or something like that. The spotted lynx is stalking his prey. Yeah, he's probably thinking, how much money could I get out of this beaver pelt if I catch it?
Well, it's fun. It's funny that you mentioned that, Barry, because when I do watch programs like that, I do find it very interesting. And
I love those things.
Incredible. I'm thinking,
it is amazing.
How much money did it cost them to film this thing? I mean, gee whiz. I mean, they sat out there in a jungle for a month to get that one shot.
No, they got some grad student in anthropology sitting off camera with a little wire pen holding a bobcat in there. And the director says, okay, cue the rabbit. Okay, rabbit's out. Okay, now the bobcat. And here comes a bobcat, and they film it and all that kind of stuff.
That's the same kind of guy that spent 4 days in a tent waiting to go to a basketball game.
When we come back, the Phantoms daily pick.
Got it. Right here.
Also, our Victoryland 777 topic wheel. We have talked tons of basketball today. He's John Longshore, Network Control. I'm Barry McKnight, Lafayette, Louisiana. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. Their licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Okay, back at it, everybody. And look, I've gotten a lot of response, Barry. I know you have as well. People finding out and hearing about us talk about our friends at Total Sports Travel. Yeah. They've handled all of our travel needs forever. As long as we've been in sports media, if we need to go somewhere, Total Sports Travel handles it all for us. They can handle it for you too. SEC men's basketball tournament in Nashville. It is March 13th through the 16th. They got your hotel accommodations at the Omni Nashville right there in downtown on Broadway. Barry and I stayed there a couple of years ago for SEC football media days. It is a fabulous location, fabulous property. You're a block away from Bridgestone Arena. 1 block. You can walk to the games at your leisure. Couldn't be any easier. Great place to be. Now, Barry, they have sold out of their ticket allocation. You could have bought tickets from Total Sports Travel, sold them out.
Not anymore.
But they do have rooms available, but you need to hurry if you want to be there because, folks, it is selling out. TotalSportsTravel.com, TotalSportsTravel.com, 877-371-0144. There are very, very, very limited numbers of rooms left, so give them a call, 877-371-0144, or go to TotalSportsTravel.com.
Now, technically, point of order, the tournament actually begins on Wednesday, March the 12th, but let's face it. Neither Auburn nor Alabama are going to be the 9th seed or lower. They're not playing on Wednesday. There's a very, very, very strong possibility that they're not playing on Thursday. But if you're me, especially with the convenience of Total Sports Travel, I'm getting there Wednesday so I can watch the late Wednesday games, so I can be out there for the Thursday games, the 5-8 games on Thursday in the second round. And then Friday, when my team's ready, you got some of these other people trickling in who made their own travel plans and are just now getting there. Well, can you believe the traffic in Franklin? I can't believe that we had that stoppage in Pulaski, Tennessee, or whatever like that. And you're there, you're fresh as a daisy. You say, yeah, man, in the first round, it was really great. Lord it over your friends. And John, like you said, only a block away. Don't. I'm just telling you, don't do it on your own. Don't do that on your own. Go through Total Sports Travel. You'll thank us later. People always do. Yep.
It is fantastic. Great stuff. Going to be fun. I got basketball friends that are junkies. Basketball junkies. They'll be at every game.
Yeah, I do too.
They won't miss a game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And won't miss a play of every game. It's not like they're ducking in and saying, oh, hey, Georgia looks like this one against South Carolina. No, they're watching the whole thing, every bit of it. Love those guys. They have
Okay, Bama, Barry Phantom's daily pick last night. We lost. Had a loser. We thought Alabama on the road, looking ahead to the game Saturday, would be a little bit too much, but they went into Austin and won by 23. They had Texas catching 4.5, wasn't even close. I will say this, Barry, maybe it was just Alabama as they kept playing. And I've mentioned this a couple of times this year. It was quiet. That place isn't loud. That arena in Austin, you could hear the ball dribble. And maybe Alabama had something to do with that, but Tide, very impressive last night, had the wrong side. So we're going to get it back tonight in the Phantoms Daily Pick. It's at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. Barry, we like NC State at home, catching 6.5, hosting Louisville. The Louisville Cardinal coming into town to NC State. We like NC State plus 6.5 at home tonight, 6 p.m. ESPN2.
Yeah, a couple of games. That will actually be the first game of an ESPN2 doubleheader. After that one's over and the Phantom has paid off for you, you can check out LSU and Arkansas at 8 on ESPN2. LSU is one of the bottom feeders in the league. Arkansas is no great shakes themselves. 3 games tonight in the SEC. Ole Miss at South Carolina, Oklahoma at Missouri, LSU against Arkansas. We'll probably hit that up on our Quincy, on our Victoryland 777 topic wheel, which is it's time. It's time.
Yeah, it's about to get going. Now, Barry, Curtis on our River Region Straw chat line, he is giving us what he thinks are some differences between the fan bases in Auburn and in Tuscaloosa.
He says you're starting to see the difference in the two fan bases with Bama getting all of these out-of-state liberals coming in. I don't have any insight into that. I do know there's a ton. There's more than 50% of the students at the Tuscaloosa campus of the University of Alabama system is from out of state. But everybody from out of state who comes in isn't a liberal, right?
Here's what I'm hearing.
It was still, it is kind of a oasis. Not that it's better or worse, but an oasis for liberal thought in places like Tuscaloosa because of the college campus there, a little bit more so. I mean, they're not like Sacramento or San Francisco or something like
Cal
that.
Berkeley.
But still a little bit more, still a little bit more liberal than otherwise. But
I mean, back in the 80s, I had some teachers that I knew were a little liberal, but I just roll with the punches. And I'm sure there's a lot of professors up there, heck, at every school in the country. Most people in academia are a little liberal. Most, not all, most.
Right. Yep.
Here's what I'm hearing. A lot of kids from up north, they don't want to go to school up there because it's so liberal. So they want to come to schools in the South, not just Alabama, schools in the SEC. I think, you look at out-of-state enrollment across the board in the SEC. A lot of out-of-state people or kids are very interested in it and looking into it. I mean, I've mentioned before, I remember driving through Tuscaloosa going, man, there are a lot of cars up here with New Jersey tags on them.
It's incredible. Yeah.
What are kids from New Jersey coming down here for? But, the conservative, and there are some in the Northeast, don't think they're all liberals, but the conservatives, they don't want to go to school up there because it's so liberal. They're forcing an agenda. They're doing all their political stuff. They don't want any part of it. And, of course, they see what the atmosphere is like during a football game on TV, and they read and hear and see all about it. They go, yeah, this looks pretty cool. I think I want to go take a look at this place. That has been a big part of it. A lot of the kids from up north want to come down south. Weather's better, not as liberal, more laid back. But to say Alabama's enrollment has become more liberal, I certainly hadn't noticed it.
I don't know that it's like majority liberal, but I think it is a little bit more liberal than the demographics of the state of Alabama. There again, I don't know. There again, I've never had a child attend Auburn,
so I don't know. But an outsider looking in, I would probably say Auburn's a little more conservative than Alabama is.
I would say so too. Auburn's one of the most conservative campuses for a public institution that I've seen. I mean, it's not Liberty, it's not Bob Jones or something like that, but it is definitely conservative. It's weird to think Coleman Coliseum on Saturday, fans are rolling in, and like I was saying yesterday, if there are tickets on the open market, Auburn fans are going to be in there. They are going to be at least a third of the entire place, at least 5,000 Aubs there, at least in that place to root on the number one team in the country against their hated rivals. But you look in there and you see somebody with a faded, tattered Alabama t-shirt with, a woven rope bracelet, Birkenstocks.
I tell you where I think you're going to see
like
that.
Patchouli or something.
I tell you where I think where you're going to see that is maybe in Austin. I mean, I think, from what I understand, Texas is a little liberal.
Man, I'm telling you, I've been there a ton. There's a school in the Sun Belt just outside of Austin. We fly in and out of Austin all the time. We stay in Austin a lot. My niece used to live in Austin. You can go to the Austin Bergstrom Airport, Austin, Texas. That's where I was with the Troy baseball team when Caitlyn Jenner walked through. And all the players were like, hey, that's Caitlyn Jenner. Yeah, he won an Olympic gold medal. And they went and they got their pictures taken with him. You can go to the the bookstores in the airport, and they've got these T-shirts that say "Keep Austin Weird." It ain't no question that's That
yeah.
is, in the entire state of Texas, that is like the liberal Emerald
Bear,
City.
we do have something in common. I was actually on a flight with Caitlyn Jenner, but I think he was still Bruce Jenner at the time.
Did he have to use the bathroom? Oh, okay. All right. Never
No,
mind.
but he had it on.
If he did, I want to know if there's
one of those sweatsuit type deals. Not a sweatsuit. What do they call them? Like a warm-up suit in basketball kind of thing. Windsuit, maybe. From Palm Springs to Dallas. He was on our flight years ago. So this was years ago because he was still
he must
Bruce.
live in Texas.
All right, let's get that Victory Land 777 topic wheel up and loaded here on a Wednesday. Curtis is chomping at the bit. Let's take a spin and see what comes up next.
Oh, only 3. Okay.
Well, I think there's actually 4. I think he's going to add one here in just a minute because I think we had 4 today, but we'll see. Let's spin it. We'll add the other one later.
Right. Here we go.
And it's going to land. Whoa, a malfunction. Pay the table. Pay the table. Wait a minute. Countdown clock. All right, Barry, you mentioned it earlier. I'm going to have to just go ahead and bite my lip.
Yeah.
How much longer till baseball season starts?
Well, they have opened up the spring training camps.
Yep.
They are pitchers and catchers have reported it's a glorious time. Now, they haven't started playing games or anything like that. Spring training is finally here. Spring training camps in Arizona and Florida, Cactus League and the Grapefruit League. Opening day. It's the earliest I ever remember it. Thursday, March 27th. March. I mean, they've got Major League Baseball that'll be playing before the college basketball season is over with. Maybe that always has happened before, but the opening day, Thursday, March the 27th, a month and a half from right now. But yeah, the spring training's going on, the singing, it's first ones in are the Cubs pitchers and catchers and the Dodgers and pitchers and catchers and everything. The first spring training.
Did I see, Barry? You would know this, being a Braves fan, homer, whatever you want to say,
right?
And all this streaming business. Did I read where the Braves were offering some deal where you can buy? You got to stream Braves games. You got to pay for it.
You got to pay for it anyway. If you got cable, you got to pay for it. I haven't seen that, but I would imagine that is so.
I'm thinking, whoa. They're expecting people to stream a Braves game and pay for it?
This sounds like we're talking hieroglyphics to John, but I can name 15 of my friends right now that are absolutely in on that. That would absolutely, heck, yeah, wait, that means I won't miss a game? Good, I'm going to do that. One of my friends is 94 years old. She sits in the church pew in front of us. So she lives that.
I hate to use this analogy again, but we can send a man to the moon. But if I want to go from streaming a Braves game to, say, Fox News, I got to jump through a bunch of hoops, watch the wheels spin on the screen, and it's going to take me about 3 minutes at the best. When are we going to be able to
3 minutes
from streaming like I do, like I've been growing up doing? That's my biggest issue with it.
And that's the thing. That's John's mindset. The world as it was when I was growing up should never change.
Right.
We don't want any changes to the world of, let's say, John graduated. The way the world was in 1982, can we freeze that civilization? Music needs to stay the same. Clothes need to stay the same. Movies need to stay the same. Waistline needs all that stuff. That's where it comes from. I used to just be able to click. Well, your dad didn't. Your dad used to have to send you up there. Turn the antenna just a little bit that way. There we go. There we go. So
those were the days. All right,
Yeah.
when we come back, we're going to finish up the wheel. I believe our man Brian Reynolds from Cameron Ridge on the RTJ Trail is going to join us today.
Yep.
Hey, you could probably get in a quick 9 later today. We'll let Brian tell us about that when he returns on Wednesday's edition of Longshoreman McKnight.
Yep, presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the river region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the river region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
All righty, welcome back in, everybody. As we wrap it up here, got a couple of minutes to go. Brian Reynolds scheduled to join us here in just a moment. Maybe we can spin the wheel a time or two before Brian checks in before the top of the hour here on a Wednesday. It's kind of rainy out there. I can hear the rain out there.
Let me check here in Lafayette. It's a little bit rainy here.
Yeah, a little rainy. Some really wintry weather up north.
Yep.
That's why those kids want to come down to the south, get away from that wintry weather.
I would,
Yeah.
no question. All right,
Hey, our man Mal, real quick, from over in Atlanta. Auburn needs Vandy's coach to come teach defense in the offseason. They played defense for 21 minutes and 40 seconds before Auburn shot a free throw.
He says, of course, a team that's smaller, hacks, pushes and reaches isn't going to commit 7 fouls and a half. Mal's, I didn't know you could chat with your tongue in cheek as you're typing it down. Yeah, Mal's pointing out the fact that the game was into the second half before Auburn shot their first free throw.
Sounds like a NBA game I watched recently.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Auburn did not shoot a free throw in the entire first half of the game?
Yeah, that happens once in a while. But Mal's point is that, of course, Vanderbilt's smaller. They do have to be a little bit more physical. They do reach. The fact that Auburn didn't shoot a free throw in the first half, it kind of smells to Mal is what I'm taking out of that whole deal. Yeah.
Okay, Mal, I get it. Hey, Mal, you excited about Braves baseball? I don't think so.
He isn't. Yeah.
Mal's a big Dodger fan.
Yeah, which they open up. I mean, the Dodgers, one of the first ones to open up. As a matter of fact, the first actual spring training game is going to be February the 20th, which is, a week from tomorrow. It'll be not this Thursday, but next.
Yeah.
Between the Cubs and the Dodgers. That's in the Cactus League. It's weird to think of the Dodgers in Arizona. Well, I grew up, and they were right in my back door down in Central Florida. Grapefruit League starts the following day. Yankees and the Rays, which is interesting because, the Rays stadium got blown away by Hurricane Helena. And so the Rays are going to be playing at the Yankees spring training field in Tampa. I think it's Steinbrenner Field, as a matter of fact. So, it's going to be a strange year for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, it is. And I still have heard some talk about maybe a new facility down there, but I'm also hearing Nashville might be the Major League Baseball destination for somebody.
I like it. This is one of Dennis Mitchell's favorite things. I like that. The whole thing is actually pretty healthy, despite what John says. Nobody cares, nobody watches, nobody goes. nobody pays attention. It's pretty healthy right now. The only, the move of the A's to Las Vegas is huge. I still think they ought to change the name if they're in Vegas from the A's to the Aces. If they're going to play in Vegas.
Woo, man, that thing they're building. Thing they're building in Vegas, man.
Yeah, but
it's going to be pretty special. 1.7 billion
with a B. Yes.
Sheesh.
Yeah, but Nashville would be a spot, but there's not really. I mean, who would the White Sox have struggled for years on the south side of Chicago? Maybe them, maybe Tampa Bay. That's about it in terms of moving. They're not going to expand. They're not going to, bring a new franchise. They're going to move one over. There's what that is. So,
well, I'd like to see that. Nashville's kind of booming. I could see that.
Oh yeah,
I will try to see
it. It started booming whenever Gurn Jr. moved there. That's probably the attraction right there more than anything else.
Touch base with Brian tomorrow. Little technical issue there. Chris the Bammer says no baseball talk. Spin the wheel. Wow. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour, Chris.
As a matter of fact,
hold these over till tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will be at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville, Northwest Florida, and Alabama's largest volume Ram dealer. I'm going to tell you more about that tomorrow, live on location. Barry will be live on location in Lafayette, Louisiana, I believe.
Yep, we're not leaving the hotel until tomorrow afternoon. So I'll be in Lafayette, Louisiana tomorrow, Jonesboro, Arkansas on Friday.
Yep, sounds good.
Yep. Our thanks to CJ Duncan for being with us from Yellowhammer. There's always great news.
Perfect.
Great to have him along. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.